Professor Elliott's Wonder Medicine can cure all disorders of the human race without exception, or the place of residence of the afflicted patient.
Hey, Professor, I got drunk when I was 12 years old.
Millions of people watched Gunsmoke for its gunfights, outlaws, and stories from Dodge City. But away from the cameras, there were secrets that many fans never knew about. From a hidden room built behind the Long Branch Saloon to fights that were far more than simple acting, this series was anything but an ordinary Western. The tension and rumors were enough to create an entirely different show. So what was truly happening behind the scenes of Dodge City? And could it explain why some episodes remained unseen for years? Join us as we uncover 50 small details you missed in Gunsmoke. Number 50. The camera trick used in hundreds of episodes. Dodge City appeared much larger than it was. One reason involved clever camera placement. Directors often filmed streets from angles that made buildings seem farther apart, and the town feel bigger. Different routes through the same areas also created the impression of a larger community. Careful editing helped connect locations into a believable whole. Viewers rarely noticed these techniques because they blended naturally into the story. The result was a town that felt expansive and busy. But what hidden detail shaped Matt Dillon himself? Number 49. The hidden limp that changed Matt Dillon. James Arness suffered a leg injury from his military service during the Second World War. Although many viewers never noticed, the injury influenced how Matt Dillon moved on screen. Directors often framed scenes carefully and avoided requiring sudden running sequences. Instead, Matt usually walked with a calm purpose. This unintentionally strengthened the character. His steady movements made him appear confident and in control even during dangerous situations. The injury became part of the show's visual style without being openly discussed. Rather than weakening the marshal, it helped create the quiet strength that viewers came to associate with Matt Dillon. Number 48. The Long Branch Layout Mystery. The Long Branch Saloon appeared in hundreds of episodes and felt like a real place. Yet attentive viewers may notice that its layout was not always identical. As filming needs changed, tables, decorations, and camera angles changed as well. Different story requirements sometimes led to adjustments that most viewers never noticed. Despite these changes, the saloon remained familiar because its atmosphere stayed the same. The piano, bar area, and gathering spaces always felt welcoming and recognizable. Number 47. Why Kitty knew everyone's secrets. Miss Kitty spent more time listening than many viewers realized. As owner of the Long Branch, she met travelers, businessmen, ranchers, gamblers, and townspeople every day. People often shared information freely while relaxing, eating, or drinking. Because of this, Kitty heard stories before they reached the marshal's office. She understood personalities, rivalries, and hidden tensions better than almost anyone in Dodge City. Her knowledge rarely came from spying. Instead, it came from observation and experience. She knew when someone was nervous, dishonest, or hiding something. Number 46. The opening gunfight. Everyone remembers Wrong. The famous Gunsmoke opening became one of television's most recognizable introductions. Many viewers remember it clearly, yet few realize it changed over time. Different versions appeared during the series, featuring adjustments in filming, editing, and presentation. Because the sequence was so familiar, most people never noticed these updates. The quick showdown established the Western atmosphere before the story even began. It immediately reminded viewers that danger could appear at any moment in Dodge City. Over the years, small modifications kept the opening fresh, while preserving the excitement that audiences expected whenever Gunsmoke started. What habit helped Matt survive years of danger? Number 45. Why Matt always watched doorways. Matt Dillon developed the habit of keeping entrances within sight whenever possible. This detail appeared repeatedly throughout the series. As Marshal, he never knew when trouble might enter a room. Watching doorways allowed him to react quickly before situations became dangerous. The habit reflected practical frontier law enforcement rather than dramatic heroics. It also showed Matt's constant awareness of responsibility. Even during quiet conversations, part of his attention remained focused on potential threats. Number 44. The real story behind Chester's limp. Chester's famous limp became one of his most recognizable traits, but it was not originally required. Actor Dennis Weaver created the character himself to make Chester stand out from typical Western sidekicks. The choice immediately gave the character a unique identity. It also highlighted Chester's determination. Despite his physical limitations, he remained dependable, brave, and hardworking. Viewers quickly connected with him because he felt different from traditional heroic figures. Number 43. The forgotten radio influence. Before Gunsmoke became a television success, it was already popular on radio. Many storytelling techniques carried over from that earlier version. Writers focused heavily on dialogue, atmosphere, and character development because radio depended on words rather than visuals. Those strengths remained important when the show moved to television. Episodes often spent time exploring motivations and emotions instead of rushing into action. The influence of radio helped create richer stories and deeper characters. Even viewers who never heard the original broadcasts benefited from that foundation. Number 42. The detail hidden behind the Long Branch Bar. Kitty's position behind the Long Branch Bar gave her a unique view of Dodge City. From there, she could watch arrivals, conversations, disagreements, and celebrations. Few people realized how much information passed through that location every day. The bar acted as a crossroads where different groups met. Ranchers, travelers, merchants, and lawmen often shared the same space. Because Kitty observed these interactions daily, she developed an understanding of the town that few others possessed. Her location gave her influence without official authority. Simply by paying attention, she often learned important information before anyone else. Number 41. The hidden rules every villain followed. Many Gunsmoke villains shared subtle patterns that signaled trouble before any crime occurred. They often arrived with unusual confidence, challenged local customs, or underestimated Matt Dillon's authority. Writers used these behaviors to create tension early in an episode. Viewers gradually learned to recognize the warning signs. A stranger might appear friendly at first, yet certain actions hinted at future conflict. These patterns helped build suspense without revealing the entire story. Number 40. Why Dodge City felt like a real town. Many Western shows focused only on their main characters, but Gunsmoke made Dodge City feel alive. Background characters appeared again and again, creating the feeling that people lived there. Shop owners, townsfolk, bartenders, and travelers often returned in later episodes. Even when they had no major role, their presence added realism. Streets looked busy, businesses stayed active, and daily life continued whether a gunfight happened or not. Number 39. The secret meaning of Matt's slow walk. Matt Dillon rarely rushed, even when facing danger. His slow walk became one of the character's most recognizable traits. Instead of showing panic, he projected confidence and control. Criminals often expected fear, yet Matt approached problems with calm determination. This steady pace created tension because viewers knew something important was about to happen. It also reflected his experience. He understood that acting too quickly could make situations worse. The slower he walked, the more attention people paid. Number 38. The medical accuracy most fans missed. For a Western television series, Gunsmoke often paid surprising attention to medical details. Doc Adams did not simply hand out cures and solve every problem instantly. Treatments usually reflected the limitations of frontier medicine. Patients often needed time to recover, and difficult cases carried real risks. This approach made the stories feel more believable. Doc relied on experience, observation, and practical knowledge rather than miracles. The show understood that medicine in the 19th century was challenging and uncertain. Number 37. Why Gunsmoke lasted 20 seasons. Many Western shows came and went, but Gunsmoke stayed on television for 2 decades. One reason was its balance between action and human drama. Every episode offered danger, but it also focused on ordinary people facing difficult choices. Viewers returned because they cared about Matt Dillon, Kitty, Doc, and Chester as much as the weekly stories. The show constantly welcomed new guest characters while keeping its familiar heart. Writers avoided making Matt seem perfect, which made him believable. Instead of relying only on gunfights, Gunsmoke explored loyalty, justice, fear, and friendship. That formula helped the series survive changing television trends. Number 36. The unspoken strength of Miss Kitty. Miss Kitty held no official position, yet she was one of the strongest figures in Dodge City. Her power came from intelligence, respect, and experience rather than a badge or a gun. She understood people and often recognized problems before others did. Many visitors underestimated her because of her friendly manner, but that mistake rarely lasted long. Kitty handled difficult situations with patience and confidence. She earned trust from townspeople, travelers, and even lawmen. Her influence reached nearly every corner of Dodge. But what happened when Dodge City's most familiar deputy changed? Number 35. The hidden difference between Chester and Festus. Chester and Festus both served beside Matt Dillon, yet they represented very different styles of Western storytelling. Chester was polite, dependable, and often reflected traditional values. Festus brought a rougher personality shaped by frontier life. Their speech, behavior, and outlook were noticeably different. Chester often approached situations with caution, while Festus relied more on instinct and experience. These differences helped keep the series fresh across many years. Rather than replacing one character with a copy, Gunsmoke introduced a new personality with unique strengths. Number 34. Why Matt rarely smiled. Matt Dillon carried enormous responsibility. Every day brought conflicts, dangers, and difficult decisions. Because of this, he rarely smiled compared to many television heroes. His serious expression reflected the weight of protecting Dodge City. When a smile finally appeared, it felt meaningful. It often happened during moments of friendship, relief, or quiet happiness. These rare expressions revealed a softer side hidden beneath the Marshal's tough exterior. Viewers paid attention because the change stood out. Number 33. The surprising number of continuity mistakes. Even a successful series like Gunsmoke was not perfect. Over 20 seasons, small continuity mistakes appeared from time to time. Objects changed position between shots. Clothing details sometimes shifted unexpectedly. A room might look slightly different from one episode to another. These errors usually happened because scenes were filmed at different times and assembled later. Most viewers never noticed because they focused on the story. Number 32. Why outsiders always looked uncomfortable. New arrivals often seemed uneasy when entering Dodge City. This feeling was not accidental. Directors used camera angles, staging, and character reactions to make outsiders appear unfamiliar with their surroundings. Town residents usually looked relaxed because they belonged there. Visitors, however, often faced curious looks and uncertain situations. These choices helped viewers immediately understand who was new to town. The technique also increased tension because strangers frequently brought trouble or unexpected changes. Number 31. The secret behind Doc's medical bag. Few props became as closely connected to a character as Doc Adams' medical bag. Wherever illness or injury appeared, the bag was usually nearby. Over time, it became a symbol of hope and expertise. Viewers instantly recognized it because it appeared in countless important scenes. The bag represented Doc's dedication to helping others, often under difficult conditions. Whether he was treating a minor injury or facing a life-threatening emergency, it remained part of his routine. Its constant presence helped define the character. In many ways, the medical bag became almost as memorable as Doc Adams himself. Number 30. Why some gunfights felt more real. Many Western shows rushed straight into action, but Gunsmoke often took a different path. Before a gunfight began, viewers usually saw fear, uncertainty, and difficult choices. The characters understood the consequences of violence. Long pauses, careful looks, and tense conversations built suspense before anyone reached for a weapon. This made confrontations feel more realistic and meaningful. The audience knew that a gunfight could change lives forever. Because the tension came first, the action felt stronger when it finally arrived. Number 29. The hidden relationship between Matt and Kitty. Matt Dillon and Miss Kitty shared one of television's most memorable relationships, yet much of it remained unspoken. Rather than openly declaring their feelings, the series revealed their connection through small moments. They trusted each other, worried about each other, and often understood things without explanation. This approach allowed viewers to notice subtle details in conversations and expressions. Their bond developed naturally over many years, instead of through dramatic romantic storylines. Number 28. The Real Bullet Scare. According to a long-running story connected to Gunsmoke, a frightening accident nearly turned deadly during the filming of The Jailer in 1960. The claim says that a prop gun was mistakenly loaded with a real bullet and fired during a scene involving James Arness. The bullet reportedly missed him by only a few inches before striking a wall inside the saloon set. Production was allegedly halted for several days while the incident was investigated. The story also claims that the bullet mark remained visible on the Long Branch Saloon set for years and could supposedly be spotted in dozens of later episodes. Number 27. The small detail hidden in Matt's gun belt. Matt Dillon's gun belt reflected the practical nature of his character. Unlike many flashy Western heroes, he carried his equipment in a straightforward and functional way. The placement supported quick access while avoiding unnecessary decoration. This detail matched Matt's personality perfectly. He valued responsibility and effectiveness over appearance. His role as marshal required reliability rather than showmanship. Even small costume choices helped reinforce that image. Viewers may not have consciously noticed the gun belt, but it quietly supported the character's identity. Number 26. The Many Faces of Gunsmoke. Across 2 decades, Gunsmoke featured hundreds of guest actors. Because the series lasted so long, many performers returned multiple times as completely different characters. A viewer might see an actor as a rancher in one season and as an outlaw years later. This was common television practice during the era. Most audiences never noticed because the stories were separated by long periods of time. These returning performers helped keep production running smoothly while bringing familiar talent back to the show. But were any of the fights in Dodge City real? Number 25. The real fights rumor. One of the most talked about rumors from Gunsmoke claims that tension existed behind the scenes between James Arness and Dennis Weaver. According to the story, their working relationship was not always smooth, and it is even said that disagreements sometimes turned heated during production. The rumor suggests that a confrontation once happened in a dressing room, leading to visible injuries that were later hidden on screen with makeup. It also claims their communication became distant in later seasons before Weaver eventually left the series. Number 24. The real reason Festus replaced Chester. When Dennis Weaver left the series, Gunsmoke faced an important challenge. Chester had become a beloved character, and replacing him was not simple. Instead of creating someone similar, the show introduced Festus Hagen with a completely different personality. This decision allowed the series to move forward while avoiding direct comparisons. Festus brought new humor, experiences, and perspectives to Dodge City. His rough frontier background contrasted with Chester's style and created fresh storytelling opportunities. Number 23. Why Dodge City fell silent before trouble. One subtle technique appeared repeatedly throughout the series. Before major confrontations, Dodge City often seemed quieter than usual. Conversation slowed, movement decreased, and attention focused on the growing conflict. This change created suspense without requiring dramatic music or obvious warnings. Viewers sensed that something important was about to happen. The quiet atmosphere made even simple actions feel significant. By reducing distractions, the show directed attention toward the coming danger. Number 22. The hidden pregnancy rumor. One of the most persistent rumors surrounding Gunsmoke claims that Amanda Blake secretly hid a pregnancy while filming the series. According to the story, careful camera angles, oversized costumes, and strategically placed props were used to conceal her condition from viewers. The rumor even suggests that only a handful of people on set knew the truth. Number 21. The stolen badge mystery. One of the most persistent Gunsmoke stories claims that Matt Dillon's Marshal badge vanished from the set in 1962 and remained missing for more than 2 decades. According to the tale, the badge was allegedly taken by a CBS employee and stored in a safety deposit box for years. The story says it resurfaced after the man's death in 1985, when a family member reportedly returned it to James Arness. During its absence, a replacement badge was supposedly used for filming. Number 20. The tiny gesture Matt used before making arrests. Matt Dillon often revealed his decisions before speaking. Careful viewers may notice small changes in his posture whenever he decided an arrest was necessary. His expression became firmer, his focus narrowed, and his attention shifted completely toward the suspect. These moments showed that he had finished weighing the facts. Once Matt reached a conclusion, he rarely hesitated. The gesture itself was subtle, yet it helped define his character. He believed in fairness and careful judgment. Because he took his responsibilities seriously, every arrest carried weight. Number 19. Why night scenes felt more dangerous. Night transformed Dodge City into a different world. Familiar streets suddenly appeared uncertain and threatening. Shadows hid important details, making it harder to predict what might happen next. Limited lighting increased suspense because danger could emerge from almost anywhere. The contrast between bright daytime scenes and darker nighttime settings created a strong emotional effect. Number 18. How Ken Curtis accidentally created a legend. Ken Curtis brought something unique to Festus Hagen. His voice, mannerisms, and delivery made the character instantly recognizable. Many of these choices developed naturally as Curtis settled into the role. Rather than creating a polished hero, he presented someone who felt genuine and unpredictable. Festus could be funny, wise, stubborn, and compassionate, often within the same episode. Viewers connected with that authenticity. Over time, the character grew far beyond a simple deputy. Curtis's performance helped transform Festus into one of the most beloved figures in Western television. Number 17. The strange case of familiar villains. Longtime viewers sometimes experienced a strange feeling while watching Gunsmoke. Certain faces looked familiar even when the characters were completely new. This happened because many actors returned repeatedly in different roles. A performer who played an outlaw in one season might later appear as a rancher, merchant, or lawman. Television productions of that era often reused talented actors whenever possible. Most audiences accepted the practice without concern. These returning performers brought experience and reliability to the show. Number 16. The detail that made Matt different from other TV cowboys. Many Western heroes rushed toward conflict with guns ready. Matt Dillon usually chose a different approach. He often tried conversation before force, even when dealing with dangerous individuals. This made him stand apart from many television cowboys of his era. Matt understood that violence created consequences for everyone involved. He preferred solving problems peacefully whenever possible. His patience demonstrated confidence rather than weakness. Viewers respected him because he balanced strength with restraint. Now, let's take a look at what hidden truth was buried beneath Doc Adams's constant complaints. Number 15. Why Doc Adams complained so much. Doc Adams spent much of his time grumbling, yet those complaints revealed something important about him. Beneath the frustration was a man who cared deeply about others. He worried about his patients, disliked needless suffering, and often carried burdens he could not fully solve. His sharp remarks frequently came from concern rather than anger. Working as a frontier doctor was difficult and exhausting. Doc witnessed hardship almost every day. Complaining became part of how he handled those pressures. Number 14. The mystery of Dodge City's population. Dodge City often seemed larger than logic suggested. New visitors arrived constantly, yet familiar residents remained part of everyday life. The town felt busy because the series regularly introduced fresh characters while maintaining recognizable faces in the background. Travelers, ranchers, merchants, and drifters passed through, creating a steady flow of stories. This gave the impression of an active frontier community connected to a wider world. Viewers rarely questioned the population because the town felt alive. Number 13. Why Kitty rarely lost her temper. Miss Kitty usually remained calm, even during difficult situations. Her patience allowed her to handle arguments, misunderstandings, and tense encounters with remarkable control. Because she rarely became angry, the few moments when she did carried extra importance. Those scenes immediately captured attention because they felt unusual. Her reactions often signaled that something serious had happened. Kitty understood people well and preferred solving problems through understanding rather than confrontation. This self-control earned respect throughout Dodge City. When her temper finally surfaced, viewers recognized that an important line had been crossed, and the situation truly mattered. Number 12. The forgotten importance of the barbershop. The barbershop served a larger purpose than simple haircuts. It functioned as one of Dodge City's most active gathering places. Residents visited regularly, creating opportunities to exchange news, opinions, and local gossip. People often discussed recent events while waiting for their turn. Because so many conversations happened there, information spread quickly through the community. The location helped connect different groups within the town. Although it rarely received major attention, the barbershop contributed to Dodge City's sense of realism. It reminded viewers that communities depend on everyday places where people meet and share stories. Number 11. The hidden network of businesses in Dodge. Information moved through Dodge City in surprising ways. Businesses such as the saloon, barbershop, hotel, and general store formed an unofficial communication network. News traveled from one location to another as customers shared what they had seen or heard. Sometimes important information reached townspeople before it reached law enforcement. This network helped create a realistic picture of community life. People relied on conversations and personal connections rather than modern technology. Number 10. Why Matt almost never drew first. Matt Dillon earned respect because he did not rush into violence. Unlike many Western heroes, he rarely reached for his gun first. He understood that once a weapon appeared, events could quickly spiral out of control. Instead, he relied on judgment, patience, and conversation whenever possible. This approach reflected his responsibility as marshal. He wanted justice, not unnecessary bloodshed. Viewers knew that if Matt finally drew his gun, the situation had become serious. That restraint made his actions more powerful. The choice helped define his character and separated him from many other television lawmen of the era. Number 9. How William Conrad shaped a character he never played on TV. Before Gunsmoke appeared on television, it found success on radio. William Conrad played Matt Dillon in that earlier version and helped establish the character's personality. His portrayal emphasized intelligence, authority, and quiet strength. When the series moved to television, James Arness brought his style to the role, but many core qualities remained. The television version continued exploring the same sense of responsibility and moral judgment that listeners already knew. Although Conrad never appeared as Matt on screen, his influence remained part of the character's foundation. Number 8. The scene CBS did not want viewers to see. Television standards during Gunsmoke's early years were much stricter than many viewers realize. Networks carefully monitored how relationships appeared on screen. This affected the way Matt Dillon and Miss Kitty interacted. Writers and actors often relied on subtle moments instead of direct romantic scenes. As a result, their connection developed through gestures, conversations, and mutual concern rather than obvious displays of affection. These restrictions shaped one of the show's most important relationships. Ironically, keeping things understated sometimes made the bond even more compelling. Number 7. The secret meaning behind Matt's height. James Arness was naturally tall, and Gunsmoke often used that advantage to strengthen Matt Dillon's presence. Camera angles frequently emphasized his height when he faced suspects or entered crowded rooms. This visual technique helped establish authority before he even spoke. Standing above others made him appear more commanding and difficult to challenge. The effect worked especially well during confrontations. Without relying on dramatic speeches, the show communicated who was in control. Height alone did not make Matt respected, but it supported the image of a capable marshal. Number 6. The story hidden in Festus's voice. Festus Hagen's voice became one of the character's most memorable features. His unusual speech pattern immediately set him apart from everyone else in Dodge City. Yet it served a larger purpose than simple humor. The way Festus spoke reflected his background, experiences, and unique view of the world. His words often carried wisdom hidden beneath rough language and colorful expressions. Viewers learned that judging him too quickly was a mistake. The voice helped create a character who felt genuine and distinct. It became an important part of the charm that made Festus so popular. But who held power in Dodge City without carrying a badge? Number 5. The hidden power of Doc Adams. Doc Adams rarely carried weapons or enforced the law, yet he possessed enormous influence. People trusted him because he dedicated his life to helping others. His medical knowledge earned respect from nearly everyone in town. During crises, his opinions often carried as much weight as the marshal's decisions. Doc could calm arguments, challenge bad ideas, and encourage people to do what was right. His authority came from wisdom rather than force. This made him one of the most important figures in Dodge City. Number 4. Why so many future stars appeared on Gunsmoke. Because Gunsmoke lasted for 2 decades, it provided opportunities for countless actors. Many performers appeared on the show before becoming widely known. Guest roles allowed young actors to gain experience and demonstrate their abilities. The series became a valuable stepping stone within the entertainment industry. Casting directors trusted the show's high standards, making it an attractive place for emerging talent. Years later, viewers often recognized familiar faces while revisiting old episodes. These appearances created an interesting connection between Gunsmoke and many future careers. Number 3. The death scene switch legend. One of the stranger stories connected to Gunsmoke claims that Ken Curtis appeared as a different character years before becoming Festus Hagen. According to the tale, that earlier character passed away on screen, creating concerns when Curtis later joined the cast as a regular. The story suggests producers allegedly revisited old footage to avoid confusing viewers. While Curtis did play other characters on Gunsmoke before becoming Festus, the supposed death scene controversy remains an unverified legend among fans of the long-running Western. Number 2. The detail hidden in Dodge's jail cell. The jail cell appeared in countless episodes and became one of the show's most familiar locations. Yet it changed more than many viewers noticed. Small adjustments occurred over the years as production needs evolved. Camera angles, furnishings, and surrounding details sometimes shifted between seasons. Most audiences never paid attention because the location remained recognizable. The cell continued serving its purpose as a place where important conversations and confrontations unfolded. These subtle changes reflected the natural evolution of a long-running series. Number 1. The final season strain. During the final years of Gunsmoke, the long schedule placed pressure on the cast as they aged and dealt with personal health challenges. Milburn Stone, Amanda Blake, and Ken Curtis all continued working while managing various health difficulties. Production adjusted filming schedules and used careful planning to complete episodes. Despite the challenges, the series continued until its conclusion, marking the end of an era for television westerns. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.